right, so today we're going to dive into a really profound piece of philosophy. It's all about the very fabric of existence and, our place within it. So let's get right into it. So right off the bat, the text doesn't hit you with some dense, complicated doctrine. Nope. It starts with this really powerful prayer. It totally sets the stage for everything that comes next, establishing the main theme from the get-go, this deep, profound call for unity. So you might be thinking, where do you even start with something as huge as universal unity? Well, according to this text, it doesn't begin with you off in a cave somewhere. It starts by understanding the incredible power of community. The very first idea we run into is Sanghae Subadhyayat. And this isn't just about, being nice to each other. It's about recognizing that real strength for society and for your own spiritual path is found in the Sangha, the united community. It's this radical idea that our journey has to start with we, not just me. Okay, so that sounds great, but how do you actually do that in a world full of, imperfect people? The text gives us this brilliant, really practical tool, Vismrutva Parayadosha. It literally means to intentionally forget the faults of others. It's a call for some serious, radical empathy. And get this, it's not even for their sake. It's to purify your own mind and tear down the walls that we all put up between each other. So, once we've started to understand our relationship with others, the focus kind of naturally shifts. It turns inward. What kind of mindset do you actually need to walk this path of unity? The text points to these figures called siddhas, basically perfected beings, as our role models here. And for them, all those things we chase, the stuff driven by selfish desires, they see it as trivial, almost meaningless. That really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? Now, what's really fascinating here is that even these super advanced souls are encouraged to keep doing the inner work. The sage Sadasiva Yati actually prays for them to continue renouncing worldly desires. That shows you this isn't a one-and-done thing. It's a constant practice, always turning toward that higher purpose. And this leads us to a really crucial point. If letting go of selfish desires is the whole game, then what makes it so darn hard? What is the one thing, the core obstacle that keeps us all tied up? Let's just sit with that for a second. What is it that really binds us? What keeps us stuck in our own little worlds and separates us from everyone else? Well, the text has a really powerful and ancient metaphor to answer this exact question. The answer is the Hridaya Granthi, which translates to the knot of the heart. It's this classic idea, a metaphor for that tangled up mess of ego and ignorance inside us that keeps us feeling separate and totally disconnected from the world. So what is this knot actually made of? Well, you can think of it as a tangle of a few things. Our ego, our ignorance of who we really are, all the junk and impurities floating around in our mind, and that deep down feeling of being a separate, isolated self. That's the knot we're all trying to untie. And this is where the philosophy just becomes absolutely breathtaking. Because untying that knot doesn't lead to emptiness, it leads to the ultimate realization, seeing our true place in the entire cosmos. The moment that knot comes undone, that whole feeling of being separate just dissolves. And the experience, the way the text describes it, is like finally seeing that all of existence is one single, intricately woven, unified fabric. Which brings us to the central metaphor of this entire teaching, Uttam Protam. It's this beautiful Vedic idea that describes the divine as the warp and the woof, the threads that are woven horizontally and vertically to create a piece of cloth. It means the divine isn't separate from us. It is the very substance of everything. We're all part of the same fabric. So here's the huge takeaway. When that knot of ego is finally severed, you don't just understand this stuff with your brain, you experience it. You directly perceive the self, the Atman, not as something locked inside you, but as the consciousness that is woven through and pervading absolutely everything. And this all leads us to the final, powerful conclusion of the whole text. So, what's the point of our lives then? What's the ultimate purpose of this whole journey? The text describes this as a fundamental shift, a huge turn from what it calls pravritti to nivritti. Pravritti is all that worldly action driven by ego, the very thing that ties the knot in the first place. Nivritti is the turn inward, the path of liberation driven by that search for the unified self. And here it is, the simple but totally profound conclusion. The entire purpose of life, according to this sage, is to make that turn, to find within ourselves this supreme inclination toward freedom and unity. The text closes with this beautiful mantra, Om Virat Purusha Rishyat Mane Namah. It's a final, reverent bow, basically saying, salutations to that cosmic being, that universal self, which is the very soul of all the great seers who have walked this path before us. And so, this entire journey leaves us with a really personal and powerful question to think about. Looking at our own lives, our own minds, our own egos, what is one single thread in that knot of the heart that we could begin to loosen, even just a tiny bit, starting today?